Welcome to the first video of 2024. Happy to see you again, and I'm happy to be out again. It was a little bit of a struggle after those holidays and always staying in bed and sleeping out. It was amazing. It starts to itch again to start making videos again. So here we are. Today we are in the Hallerbos in Brussels. I'm looking to improve my photography this year. So I have 5 tips how you can also improve your photography, and also almost immediately. Not all the tips are to make your photography immediately better, but a few are. And I'm already gonna give you my first tip in this video, because I think this tip is the one you don't want to hear probably, but it's put in the hours. If you go out a lot, you will improve a lot. There's a saying, if you put in 10,000 hours in something, you're good at it. So if you put 10,000 hours in landscape photography, you probably will be better at it. So that's what I'm trying to do, put in the hours and go out. One of the photography niches where I'm not so good in is woodland photography. That's why I'm starting this year with some woodland photography to get it going and hopefully improve and get my creativity flowing for good compositions. So that's what we're doing today. And let's search for the first composition of this video. Finally made our first composition, and I'm shooting a small tree that's still got some brown leaves on it. It doesn't want to lose them, I guess. And I'm using some leading lines into this composition. I'm also using a shallow depth of field because we are in the forest, and I always like to use a shallow depth of field to make my subjects stand out a little bit more. Because with all the tree trunks in the back of this photo, it starts, for me personally, it's looking very cluttered very quickly. So that's why that's why I like to use this shallow depth of field. And for this picture, I'm using f3.2 because that's helping me to get that shallow depth of field. I also raised my ISO a little bit because I wanted to bump up my shutter speed a little bit. Because there's a little bit of wind, it's a lot of a little bit. There's a little bit of wind coming through this forest, and it's shaking the leaves of this little tree. And in the first photos that I was trying to take, it looked like the tree was a little bit out of focus, but it was just actually because it was shook a little bit by the wind. The ISO is at 320 of a second, and the shutter speed is 125 of a second. And this is the composition roughly, and this is our little tree that we are shooting, and I'm using those trunks here to act as our leading line into this picture. And I'm using a portrait, so it's something like this that you're going to see in this picture. So I'm not including this big tree here. It can be, I will have a small piece of this tree into this frame, but I didn't want to include it too much because the tree is too big in comparison with our little tree that we are photographing here, and it was a little bit too much in this picture. So that's why I don't want to include this big tree, and I hope I can bring down the highlights a little bit of the sky so our eye doesn't get attracted to the sky too much and we're gonna lose our focus from this little tree. In March, this forest is always covered with bluebells. It's super cool. I made a video this year about this tripod here, and it was the season of the bluebells, so I got a lot of cool photos in that video. I will link it in the description, and also I will put up a card at the end of the video, because I don't want you to be leaving this video I want you to like this video and subscribe. For the next tip that I want to give you is like be a little bit less like me. I always tend to go out when the light is at its best. So at sunrises, sunsets, the golden hour stuff. But now it's past sunrise, and the colors this morning were super beautiful when I was driving up here. I've missed that. And that's why I need to go out a little bit more when it's not the best time to shoot, just to improve my photography and just be out and taking photos. I just shot our next composition, and that brings me directly by the next tip that I have for you guys. It's tip number 3. Care less about your composition, and I don't mean like just go out and spray and pray like this and take photos. No, it's more like go out, take photos, and try to take the best photos that you can. But if it's not perfect, just leave it on your memory card, watch it afterwards, and look at it and try to see what you can improve next time in your photography, because we can learn a lot about our mistakes that we make when we are out and shooting. And that's what I'm also trying here. In front of the lens is a piece of tree trunk with a lot of moss on it. In the back we got a little bit of the sun, like a sun ray coming into this forest, but the sunlight isn't strong, so we don't get really a lot of light coming into this forest. But I saw this trunk and I was like, I want to try to shoot it, and hopefully it's going to be a cool composition. And I'm in between. I'm liking this photo, but it's also like a little bit like, I don't know. Looking on the back of the screen, I think it's an okay composition, and it doesn't matter if it's a really good composition or not, or if it's a really cool photo or not. This today is more about putting in the hours and just going out taking photos, and it's something else. I guess there will be people that will like this photo, and there will also be like people that say it's just I don't know. But a lot of times when I think I don't really like a photo that I took, I get the opposite reaction on it, that a lot of people really like those photos. So that's a cool thing about art, that it's for everybody. I've took this photo at ISO 160 at a shutter speed of 1.3 of a second, and at f16, because when I could see the sun coming through the trees, I want to make it like a sunburst out of it. And with the tip of caring a little bit less about your composition, your photo a little bit, just to get out and shoot. The next tip also fits in that category a little bit. Caring a little bit less about the rules of composition. Like you got the rules of third, you got the leading lines, you cannot include this, you cannot do that. And for me, I think maybe sometimes, or a lot of times, we have to break those rules and just get out of that normal photography rule stuff. It's good if you're doing competitions or stuff, because the judges will judge your photos with those rules. So if you can include those rules in your photos for the competition, then use them. But if not, be different. Don't shoot like everybody else, and just make photos that you really like. I'm searching for the next composition in the forest. A lot more greens now, because we are now in a pine tree forest, and those don't lose their leaves in winter, so that's gonna make up for some nice green photos, or at least I hope. And I finally find the composition in this beautiful big forest here, and it brings me to my fifth and last tip for this video. Make your composition as clean as possible or simple as possible. If somebody watches your photos, you want them to notice immediately what's the topic of that photo or the story in that photo. And I think this composition that I made here with the Tokina 11 to 60 millimeters is fairly simple. We got a foreground element, we got a little bit of a middle ground green stuff in the middle, and then like our backdrop, those big trees, because with the Tokina 11 to 60 millimeters it's a wide angle lens, so I can really show a lot. And we're super close to this subject in the foreground. So for this picture I'm using focus stacking, and if you don't know what that is I'm taking multiple shots of the same photo, but I'm focusing on different points in this picture. And hopefully, if I did it correctly, if I have enough photos for this picture, I can blend them in Photoshop all together, and this image will be shot from the beginning of this picture to the end of this picture. And I'm using this technique because our foreground element is so close to the camera that I need to do this, or I could also focus only on this foreground element, but then our trees in the back will be a little bit soft, a little bit out of focus. But if I maybe want to print it in the future, I think I want to have a sharp photo from the beginning till the end. Just when I was packing my gear from the shoot with the Tokina 11 to 60 millimeters, I saw here a small tree in between the big trees, and I put on the Tamron 70 to 300 millimeters to capture this tree, and I framed this tree inside of those big trees, so we don't have light on the sides. I've put my camera in portrait mode. On the bottom of this picture we got a little bit of brownish from the needles of the trees here, and just in front of the tree there's a little bit of green plants, and the tree gets lit up from the side, from the back. I've been struggling a little bit to get it sharp with the Tamron 70 to 300 because it's a little bit too far, and the lens was a little bit shaking constantly. And I also think this photo is also a simple photo. You know what's the photo about, and the rest is just filling off this picture. The tree, the small tree, is a subject, and nature around it is the frame of this little tree. Let me know what you think of those two photos, and if you want to learn more about composition and photography, the link is in the description below, and otherwise this video would be good for you to watch. And I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Is there a place in Belgium you want me to go shoot? Let me know in the comments below.